Hi, welcome to Maker Monday. Safety in the classroom has gone to a whole new level due to the pandemic. We got focused on masks, hand washing, sanitizing, and so the safety of products isn't talked about that much, and it hasn't been probably talked about a whole lot because we're protected by consumer laws. ACMI is the Arts and Craft Material Institute, and it's an international association that has been testing products for over 75 years. Today is actually a really special day because while you may know of the ACMI safety labels and may recognize them, I don't necessarily know if you know how invested they are into art education. With me today is Tiffany Meltz. She is an art educator in Onalaska, Wisconsin. She's also the NAEA Elementary Director-elect, so we've got some royalty with us today. Welcome, Tiffany, and thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule and teaching virtually to spend some time with us. I appreciate it tremendously.
Hi, Chris. I'm super excited to be here too, supporting what all of you are fantastic vendors and ACMI do to support art education.
You bet. Well, more to come from you, and you are welcome to pipe in as things apply because you're in the classroom and I'm not. So ACMI is made up of art, craft, and creative material manufacturers, and they seek to promote safety in art and creative products through their certification program. This is done with a toxicology team, and let me just tell you, toxicology is like I'm going to say it a lot if I can get through it without twisting my tongue. Is going to be great. But they use a toxicology team at Duke University in the Division of Occupational and Environmental Medicine. ACMI also goes a step further, and they create a toxicological, that's a word, toxicological advisory board. These are toxicologists that act as a review board on toxicity. They review criteria and they make recommendations to ACMI. So it is an actual business. It's an association, but it's a business, and they are in business to make sure that products are safe for people to use. So most of you probably recognize these labels. This label, the AP label is approved product. So that's what AP means. This one is a caution label. Basically what these labels mean, and you'll find these on products, and it's just interesting because once you know about them, then you all of a sudden are like, oh yeah, there's the label, yep, there's the label. And so the manufacturers that are part of ACMI use that label for that recognition, because when you see an AP label, that one, and I just want to make sure to get my notes so that I say the right things. The AP means it is safe to use as directed. And so when we use words like non-toxic, people always want to know that it's non-toxic, right? But non-toxic doesn't mean I can drink the glaze or I can drink the paint. It's not intended for us to consume. It's intended for us to paint with or glaze with or color with. But what it means is that it contains no materials in sufficient quantities to be toxic or injurious to humans, including children, or to cause acute or chronic health problems. So acute means if you get it on your skin, and I was giggling because I did actually have some paint from doing that poster last night. It means that it's not going to instantly give me a rash, burn my skin, hurt me. Chronic is things that are going to cause you problems later in life. So an AP symbol is safe for children to use. And I think that's particularly important in an elementary school because you want it to be totally safe because I'm guessing you can't watch the kids all the time.
I mean, most of the time, but you can't keep your eyes on 26 at the same time. So there has been
Correct.
sticks near the mouth, you know, chapstick, those kind of things.
Yes. And so I'm curious though, do you ever have like discussions about like donate the clay and or you know don't snip the glue?
Absolutely. Students, like, things just go in their mouths, especially the younger that they are. So even getting it on your hands and then being cautious of wiping your hands and wiping your mouth. And now during COVID, those discussions are more important than ever because touching near your face at any point in time is advised against, and especially when we have art materials in the art room. Did you ever, when I was in college, I remember I was painting and I had a paint cup for my paintbrushes and a water glass, and I accidentally drank the water glass. So I tell the students that story all the time too, because it's really easy to accidentally consume something.
Oh, for real. I think anybody who does painting knows if they're drinking something that, you know, it's just easy to grab that paint jar.
Yep.
Also, thought of, I saw a really funny thing on social media that was talking about, you know, washing your hands, and somebody said something like the art room washing their hands since, you know, for all times, you know, like we just do that in the art room. When we leave
I'm
the
a
art
pro
room,
at that.
wash our hands. So you guys have been practicing safety for a long time. So the CL label, caution label, it does not mean that that product is dangerous. It means to use the product for its intended use with the precautions that it gives you on the label. And I don't think I grabbed, nope, all of these happen to be AP labels, but I have Mako and Amico here, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. But those products, like glazes, some things like dry paint, sometimes will lend itself to something that, you know, like if you ingest it because of the dust or things like that, that might cause a problem if you don't do it in a well-ventilated room. You know, if it's intended that you need to wear a mask, you follow the directions. And so specifically, it says to use with information and safe and proper use of the materials. This seal appears only on a small amount of adult materials in ACMI certification program and none on children's material. So if it has a CL label, it wouldn't be recommended for an elementary teacher. So, you know, as the NAEA division director-elect, you know, that's what you want to share is stay away from CL labels in an elementary school.
Right.
Products with this seal are not hazardous if used correctly. It is important to read the product label in full before opening a product that has the CL seal. These products should never be given to children in grade 6 or lower, or anyone for that reason who is unable to read, understand, or implement the safety label and instructions. ACMI takes safety so seriously. In fact, they worry about using non-toxic because people do confuse it with, oh, it's okay to eat. It's not safe to eat art materials. And it almost sounds funny when you say it out loud, but it's true. You know, a really funny story that we had was I got a call from a museum educator one time that said, hey, is the watercolor markers that you gave us washable? And I'm like, absolutely. And she said, well, because we had a thing that said a call, and it was watercolors. It wasn't markers, it was watercolors that said, what should I paint? And somebody said, paint your brother. And the kid took it literally and painted his brother. And so they were concerned about the safety. And so just, I mean, that's a true story too. I am not joking. But on that, when it does talk about like using on skin, Like, so if you're going to use like a temper stick or some sort of marker or something to do fake tattoos or face painting or something like that, ACMI does not cover that kind of use. It is an art material, so it's not intended for your skin. That labeling actually is from the Food and Drug Administration. So you want to make sure that that has that appropriate label on it. The good news is many of those won't hurt your skin because they have the AP label on it, but it's not intended for that. So again, doesn't mean that it wouldn't cause, you know, some skin irritation because you might be allergic to it or something. So it's really important to read the labels. It's important to know about the labels and to follow the direction. Manufacturers are members that have these labels, and that is part of the benefit of being a manufacturer member, is they are allowed to put these labels on, and that means they have the right and have been tested. And so some of the products that I have brought here are from companies that also cross membership from ACMI to another board called Council for Art Education. And this is where ACMI gets really exciting, as if the rest of that wasn't super exciting. And we all know teachers love safety as a primary excitement in their life. But seriously, ACMI knew the value of art education in schools and art for all children. And so they created, and when I say they, the board of directors at that time created a not-for-profit group called Council for Art Education. Now rewind to about 1961-ish, and I'll stop really quick just to say that on the right-hand side of your screen, there should be a panel and it has handouts in it. So I've given some PowerPoint pages, and I'll be real honest. Joshua Belt from Joanne Fabrics sits on the Council for Art Education board, and he just recently put a PowerPoint together. And so I stole a couple of his slides and just changed up a few things and used it because he had all the links to ACMI, he had links to Council for Art Education, and it was just all ready to go. And it's a perfect way to say, that's how we collaborate together. And so in 1961, ACMI, along with, it was really NAEA at the time, but it was under a different name. And so they created Youth Art Month, basically. That March would be Youth Art Month. And so now fast forward / rewind, it's almost a Back to the Future situation here. In 1984, when they said, boy, we really need somebody to advocate for the arts, and we spend the majority of our time on safety. And so what if we put together Council for Art Education? And this board will be art advocates for safety in schools and safety in art material products, with an emphasis on art education and making sure that youth have education, art in their education. So things like recognizing art education as a viable factor in total education curricular that develops citizens of a global society. Who doesn't want that? And art teachers are the best. Recognize art as a necessity for the full development of better quality of life for all. It's that whole holistic teaching. Direct attention to the value of art education for divergent and critical thinking. That's the part I think there's many that totally miss the boat. They just think that it's just beautiful stuff, like this beautiful Wisconsin flag hanging behind me. Expand art programs in schools and stimulate new art programs. Encourage commitment to the arts by students, community organizations, and individuals everywhere. I love the community part of it. Increase community business and governmental support for art education. We want our leaders to be advocates for the arts. We want our leaders to understand that art education is important. Increase community understanding and interest in art and art education through involvement in art exhibits, workshops, and other creative ventures, and reflect and demonstrate the goals of the National Art Education Association that work toward improvement of art education at all levels. And honestly, Tiffany, it's so awesome to have you here because clearly you represent art teachers, you're representing NAEA, but you are also representing Youth Art Month coordinators, being a past coordinator, and you started and you built up the Wisconsin program to a point that they were the grand award winners 3 years in a row. And you know, it's hard not to be proud when you're from Wisconsin, but I promise you, I love all of the Youth Art Month coordinators, and you all make this program better. And you also advocate for the arts. So tell us how you got involved in Youth Art Month.
I started with the Wisconsin Art Education Association as secretary, and one year, I think the last year I was secretary, I helped out with Youth Art Month a little bit. I went down. We hold our Youth Art Month ceremony on a Friday at the state capitol, the Rotunda in Madison. So I went down early that day and helped set up, and it was basically, it's a party. It's a big old party on a Friday to celebrate art teachers and 1,000 people come, and the look on those kids' faces when they walk into this grand space and their art is hanging there and all of these people are there to celebrate them, it's amazing. And I mean, I love a good party, and I'm a little bit of a planner. I love my spreadsheets and highlighters. So I was like, I kind of want to do this. And I got hooked, and I planned Youth Art Month 2 years, and then helped with the next year. And then we had a resignation when I was president. So I went back and did it a 3rd year. And that 3rd year, man, we had the UW marching band there, and it was just amazing. Your little grandson playing that little instrument that he had with the UW marching band there. It's just such an amazing day. And in it being at the Capitol, like you said, how we wanted our leaders to advocate for arts in schools and art education, with it being at the Capitol, being able to have all those legislatures that come in and out of that space every day, see that. I, as a teacher, have gotten many, like a picture of a senator or a congressman standing in front of a piece of art from my school and sending us a congratulations on that artwork being there. So I think, you know, what you said about them kind of thinking it's pretty to have art in the Capitol, but then they also recognize what went into that piece of art. It's not just a piece of beautiful art, but it took the teaching and the learning behind that happens in schools for that to happen.
So true. And you're not done yet. We got lots to talk.
Oh, I know. We got so much to talk about.
So that has Youth Art Month, while it is celebrated in March, is actually this whole school year long collaboration and project, should teachers choose to get involved. And I would just suggest
Absolutely.
The Council for Art Education is that board of directors that really administrate it through teachers across the United States. And so that has really become the primary way to advocate for arts in schools. So when I was reading all of the sort of things, the goals that that ACMI was hoping Council for Art Ed would put into place, this Youth Art Month event is the perfect way to do it. And
Absolutely.
so, yes, this is a NASCO Maker Monday, but quite honestly, today I sit here as a member of Council for Art Education, and Colleen Carey from MACO like really said it best in terms of, this isn't about competition, this is about collaboration. And that's why on the Council for Art Education sits NASCO and Dick Blick and school specialty also known as SACS, and Amico and Mako and Scut and Royal Brush and Pentel and Sakura and Sargent Art. And so there's a lot of competition within that group, and yet without art education, none of us exist. And without art in children's, art materials in children's hands, there's no need for the product or for the labels or for any of it. And so it's where we all come together and are united. And it's amazing at how everybody can agree on this one thing and the value of it. And so tell us a little bit, like, how would you encourage somebody to get involved in Youth Art Month, just at a teacher level? Sort of take me through from a teacher level all the way up to becoming a coordinator, what the progression might look like.
Oh gosh, how much time we got, Chris? First of all, just being involved as a teacher who gets your students' artwork out there, whether it's on a community level or a state level. I know other states, I'm sure, do Youth Art Month differently, but in Wisconsin, we have, there's the flag competition. Behind Chris is our Youth Art Month flag from 2020. And those are on display then at the National Convention, which sadly didn't happen this year, but hopefully next year in Chicago. So you can get involved by submitting an entry to be part of the flag competition. And then typically in Wisconsin, we have our artwork due December-ish to the regional shows. Teachers submit art to the regional shows, and then from the regional shows, artwork moves on to the state level. So March is really the culmination of a whole year's worth of students and teachers prepping in the classroom, gearing up for Youth Art Month. March is when the artwork is on display at the Capitol for 2 weeks in March. And then the state, our big celebration is on a Friday, which involves, usually there's music, there's awards given out. And so all of the teachers and students come and celebrate the families. It's a huge event that day.
Tiffany,
What's that?
Let me interrupt for real quick. Your camera turned off.
Oh, I don't know why that happened.
There we go.
Oh, that's weird. Okay, here I am.
Just, snooze, it's technology, 2020.
Here we are. I'm surprised Bonnie Bell
Technology hates me. I swear to you, that's the truth. I'm a curse of technology, so blame me, but keep going.
So that day in March, we have the big celebration at the Capitol. Awards are given, and like I said, it's a big old party to celebrate with students and teachers that day. But then back in the communities, just schools and parents and community members knowing that there are elementary students who have artwork on display at the Capitol is a huge boost for the art program. It's super exciting. And then within my own school, and I know other teachers, this is not unique to me, lots of our teachers do, but just displaying artwork specifically out throughout specifically throughout March, Youth Art Month, at libraries, at restaurants around town, making sure that it's up in the hallways in your own school. There's a great handout called 10 Lessons the Arts Teach, and I try to share that out with parents at some point during March, just to kind of bring awareness to the importance of the art program. To make it extra fun, I do art dress-up days in March. We have primary color day, secondary color day. Miss Belts rocks her tutu every day during Youth Art Month week in the month of March. So it's really promoting how important the arts are. And like you said, it's not about creating a pretty piece of art, but look at our world right now. We have huge problems in our world right now. And I think that it's using those creative thinking skills and developing them in our children now is what's going to allow them as adults to think outside of the box and help us become better. And I think that students who have access to art tend to be, not all the time, but tend to have better coping mechanisms. And arts can very much promote SEL and social emotional learning. And if they're in a good place and have that outlet, And art is something they can do for their whole lives. You know, basketball, their knees might give out at some point, but if they, but if they can make art their whole life. I mean, Claude Monet got cataracts, you know, at some point you might lose your sight, but you can make art your whole life. And so I think really sharing that out with the community, how important art is really the heart of Youth Art Month and what Youth Art Month is trying to show. And then it builds students' confidence too. They're so excited to have their art on display, and sometimes they won't ever get that opportunity again. So that's important too. So that's like the individual teacher. And then I would say that Youth Art Month put me on a path of leadership within the state and then going to the national level. And I think that there's a lot of other like national leaders that would say the same thing, that Youth Art Month was a trajectory. It just really, it gets your heart when you're Youth Art Month, like to see all those people excited about art and students, and it just, you want to do more. You want to do more and see more and be more of a leader and an advocate. So I would say get in touch with your state organization and see if you can get involved planning Youth Art Month, helping with things like that. Youth Art Month is usually a huge undertaking with lots of jobs, and I'm sure they'd be happy to give you one. But that it's a great opportunity and a great experience. And I have met the best people in our dedication through Youth Art Month. And like you said too, it's just it's given me great relationships with other Youth Art Month coordinators, other art teachers in the country, but also the vendors. Like you said, it truly is, everybody supports everybody, and it's just a great thing to be a part of. It truly is. Good stuff.
I can't agree more. And a few things that I want to touch on that you said, you know, at the teacher, one of the things that struck me about Youth Art Month from the get-go is it's all inclusive. So at the school level, everybody gets to have a piece of art up at school, and so everybody gets their art on display, and no matter how good or bad or indifferent of an artist you are, it feels good to have somebody look at your art on display. And so that's that part. I love the inclusivity of it. And that doesn't just stop at the school level, because sometimes I have seen where teachers have chosen a piece of art, not necessarily because it was the best to go on to regional or onto the state show, but because of the story behind it, because of what the effort of the child put into it, or the meaning of the art or something. And then to see the family come look at that piece of art, I mean, it's true. Even though I have been there, you know, many, many times at the Wisconsin state show, to see a granddaughter's piece of art in it was just so exciting. Like, I mean, it's a kindergartner's piece of art. So, you know, rainbows and flowers, you know, you've seen it 1,000 times. But like, you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. And so I get it on a parental level too. And prior to that, as a community member, like there is people tour Wisconsin's state capitol, and so during Youth Art Month, they stop and they look and they feel that excitement. So that community thing is fabulous, and I love stories where it's like regional shows have been at malls and at libraries, and somebody's coffee shop has put up Youth Art Month pictures in their storefront. I love that. I think that is fabulous. And I know that on a government level, you know, the proclamations that you get from, you know, mayors and governors and, you know, other like senators and congressmen and things like that. Virginia has done a phenomenal job in regards to proclaiming March as Youth Art Month. I think the Texas governor always purchases a piece. I know that in Louisiana, they have had some government officials recognize some stuff. So really, really good stuff out there. And I just
Can I?
oh,
Oh, I'm
jump
gonna
in.
add just a couple of things. One thing when you were talking about earlier, I had a student when I was teaching in Sparta who she was an amazing artist and just like had the heart of an artist and worked so hard. And so I selected one of her pieces for the regional show and it moved on to state. I had no idea, but her grandparents showed up with her to the Capitol that month with this little photograph and was like, this is Brooke's dad at the Capitol steps. And this Youth Art Month has been going on in Wisconsin for long enough that her dad's artwork was also selected to be at the Capitol. So there was a picture. So then they took a picture of Brooke and her dad with the picture. It was so amazing. And just for that family to have that connection and what that meant to that family. I mean, that's a memory that
Oh,
they'll
yeah.
share forever. And then also we have the same thing. We've involved our mayor and our governor. There's proclamations of Youth Art Month across the state in big cities. And then we have 2 pieces that go to the mayor's office and stay there for a year, and 2 pieces that go to maybe 1 piece that goes to the governor's office and stay. It's framed professionally and then stays there for a year and then is returned to the artist. And then the Capitol Guards that walk around the Capitol, every year we'd go to set up and, oh, I just love this when this comes in every year. I just love walking around and looking at it. So we added a Capitol Guards award. So he got to select his favorite piece of art that's hanging at the Youth Art Month show, which is pretty cool.
Very, very, very cool. Again, tying this back to ACMI, this is kind of the vision that they had. And so ACMI is one of the primary supporters of Council for Art Education. So this Council for Art Education is their own association, and we are governed by a board of directors and, you know, follow all the rules, and we have our own set of bylaws. So ACMI doesn't tell us what to do or how to run the show or anything like that, but they continue to support us financially and, you know, just in every other way to support what we're doing. And because of that, we've been able to do bigger and better things. We've increased the awards that are given to Youth Art Month coordinators. We've been able to do cool things at the National Art Education Association conference, the exhibit hall. And we're thinking about, you know, as 2020 is so different and as 2021 might start off similar, we're not sure, you know, how do we make that work for a virtual way, and how do we figure out, and so the council has talked about that. And because of members of Council for Art Education and their organizations also supporting us financially, we can do lots of really good things. And the coordinators, you know, Tiffany, like you represent Wisconsin, you know, and represent lots of youth coordinators, that same sort of excitement and all of you are a little bit different, but you all have that same sort of passion for the arts and how to, you know, how to make it work. And a lot of it is the support that you give, and talk a little bit about that, because I'm guessing when you took over, you didn't 100% feel alone in terms of like, I have to recreate the wheel and come up with this plan.
No, Youth Art Month in Wisconsin has been going for a long time. Oberon Leslie started it. She's the one who kind of, I know she's amazing, that kind of got the wheels turning on what Youth Art Month became in Wisconsin. And everybody that's done Youth Art Month since has kind of put their own spin on it and added to it to kind of make it what it is today. And I mean, I think that the vendors that give support is huge. We couldn't do it without the support of Council for Art Education and all, you know, Nasco and Royal Brush and all of the people who supply prizes for Youth Art Month, and the funding that goes into it is just huge. But we as an association definitely work together to put it together and put it on. And Council for Art Education gives guidance and documents as far as the flag competition and verbiage to send out and permission slips, and all of that is really structured and organized. And then from there, you can kind of make it your own and add your own twist and spin to it. And I think we're also struggling this year with what does it look like if COVID is still happening and we're not able to gather in large quantities. And I'm sure that we'll come up with something together, and Council for Art Education and ACMI will be there to support us there too.
Absolutely. We are fortunate as the Council for Art Ed members to get to review Youth Art Month coordinators' state programs. So an additional responsibility, if they should choose to take it, is to submit that digital program. And then the members of Council for Art Education get to view it. And there's some criteria that, gets judged that is very, objective, just, check, check, check. But the thing that always just amazes me is how somebody has taken this idea of how do we get this artwork out into the community, into some sort of visual presence, and make it into this amazing program. And the collaboration that happens with all of those educators. So I know in Wisconsin, like, we made the deadline in terms of having Youth Art Month at the Capitol, like
just barely.
Got real lucky in terms of the whole COVID situation.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of states were not. New Hampshire put together a visual video.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, breathtaking. It was fabulous. And I think that part is like, the awesome part is, like, so many people are willing to say, this is how I did it. If you want to know this, like, I know that that you have mentored a lot of other state coordinators in regards to, like, what did you do? How'd you do that? Tell me about this. And I know that you've probably asked other people too. That kind of collaboration that happens is fabulous. And so
I remember the years when we're at NAEA and receiving the awards. So it's, the top 5, 6 youth, I shouldn't say top, but the award winners for that year are sitting in the front row. And that is the biggest Youth Art Month collaboration. Like, before the ceremony starts, like, how did you do that? And I want to see that. And do you have any ideas for this? And it is amazing. And we shared cards that day a lot and reached out to each other afterwards, because it is, and truthfully, like, although it's a competition in the awards, it's not, because we all just want to see kids' artwork be put out there and advocating for art education in the country.
Oh yeah, nobody is doing it for a plaque. You know what I mean?
Oh no, no.
It feels good to be recognized, but guaranteed nobody's out there going, I could use a plaque on my wall. Maybe I'll invest hundreds of hours of my time to do this. And so, because
that's why we're all super happy to share ideas, because it's just great. It's so fun.
Super love it. And I will say that there are moments in time where somebody has revamped a program that has not been existing for a while, or they didn't know of it. I think of New York, Donalyn Schuster and Heather McCutcheon and Julia Lang Shapiro. Like, they, brought it up from the ashes and have taken New York's Youth Art Month to a whole new level. And I often say, when we do, this is me just Googling, by the way, like, anytime I do that, when we are looking at the Youth Art Month programs, it's kind of like Sunday football. On any given day, somebody's going to be the winner by a field goal, just a few points, one safety, there's just that extra proclamation, that extra amount of people that participated, one really cool thing that just gave them that extra point. But everybody who does it wins, and they win because of the value of the art in education and that being shown to the community. Again, I can't tell you how amazing it is to see this entire Capitol filled with humans to come out just to see a kid's art show. And I say it like that, but I mean it with all sincerity, because I would rather go to a K through 12 art show than a museum any day of my life.
Mhm.
And Tiffany, talk just a little bit about some families when they come and who they bring and things like that.
Oh gosh, so many stories. I just on a personal note, last year, so I grew up out in the country. Neighbors were a mile away. That was the closest neighbor, and my parents have moved into town since. And I was there last year, and I looked at a guy, and I was like, and it was my old neighbor from when I was a kid, and he was there with his granddaughter, I think, from Toma. And that's happened twice now, where someone from my childhood has been at the Youth Art Month show, and then I have to say my name. I mean, obviously out of place there. I have to say my name, and it's just like, how cool that we're there celebrating student artwork and we reconnected. But then as far as like my students that come, it's a big deal. Like, they are dressed up and they bring grandmas and grandpas and aunts and uncles. And one year, one of my English language learners, artwork was selected to go. So our EL teacher brought an entire group of girls from, I think, 4th grade that were EL students. And just, they had an amazing day exploring Madison, and she took them out to eat. And then the enormity of the Capitol and all that there. I mean, they were giddy when they saw me and got their picture taken. And that was the year of the marching band, and we all got, which side is it? I Love Art sunglasses.
Yes.
They all came to school Monday with their I Love Art sunglasses on. But it's just so cool. Like, the kids are so proud and so happy to introduce me to their parents, and we always take pictures with their artwork, and it's a big deal. And last year I had an award winner, and the basket that they get of prizes, just the look on their face when they're like, whoa, I get these art supplies, like when they're called up to the podium. It's just a really special, fun day.
It really is. So it used to be that if a student won the flag contest, so the flag contest is sort of just an extra that goes along with Youth Art Month. I think it was developed as sort of a fun way to say, show your state's, Youth Art Month spirit, and, create a flag for your state. So it is way fun, because you can usually go past a flag and be like Wisconsin, Ohio, you can usually tell exactly who it is and what state it is, I should say. And it's really super cool. And we used to go to the Capitol in Washington, D.C., and the flags would hang in the Rayburn building, where the senators and congressmen basically meet. It was super duper cool, but very, very, very costly and difficult for families to get there. So then the Council for Art Education, and, again, grateful to ACMI for all they do for us, decided we would invite them to the National Art Education Association. Depending on where it is, it usually gets in at least that state student and maybe some nearby states, but we've had a couple situations where families did actually fly to the state.
Wow.
To be able to get there. And then there's really way bigger of an audience for those students to receive an award for. And again, the teachers are there. And to me, it really solidified community, because now the parents get to be in an environment of all art educators and see the value of that. The students get to see their teachers at an elevated situation, and all the people there are proud of who these students are. And so I always enjoy to be part of handing those awards out and giving the certificates out and shaking their hands. And
And as an art educator, I love that there is a gallery of student artwork there where you can go see different art from different states and, you know, see what's happening in those states and just like take a moment out of your day to see student artwork. Like it's just a quick reminder while you're conferencing all day, like, oh, that's why we're here. And it just is, it's great. I love that part of it too.
Totally agree. And I'm super glad you mentioned that because, again, collaboration, like you see a piece of artwork and like you're like, hey, I'm going to talk to that teacher and see, you know, how did they do that? Where'd they get the idea? What did the materials they use? That kind of stuff. ACMI has recently partnered with the Council for Art Education and gotten a couple teachers. Some might know Mrs. Hammy's Art Room on Instagram and Cassie Stevens on Instagram. Both of those teachers helped create some lesson plans that are on the ACMI Facebook page. That is in your handouts, and I point to the computer because on the right-hand side of your screen is a panel, and if you click on the handouts, there's a spot for that Facebook page, and I even linked it to all the videos, lots of lesson plan videos. And if you have a lesson plan that you are willing to share for free to all of your art educator friends, I know ACMI would love it if you posted it on their Facebook page. Youth Art Month would always welcome it. I can probably speak for myself and all my competitors. Feel free to post it on our pages because that's that collaboration. That's that whole community and communication and just all in it for the good of art education. So definitely check out ACMI's website for those videos. What else am I forgetting that we haven't talked about?
We talked about a lot of stuff.
I know, and I know we can talk more. I just don't want to miss. I just don't want to miss a thing. I think the value of participating in Youth Art Month is that side effect of what you get back. I mean, teachers put in countless hours of hard work, but to see the face of a student when they run up to their art and point to it, or when this entire family is taking pictures, it's like a small photo shoot. You know what I mean? Somebody else is waiting because you're standing right next to their piece of artwork, and then they get a turn. Like that is that feel good. That's that thank you that is happening that isn't necessarily verbal. And I'm sure you do get a lot of thank yous for your work and for that kind of stuff.
Full disclosure, last year the deadline for Youth Art Month was coming up, and I was like, I just don't think I have room for that on my plate right now. Like, I think I'm just going to skip a year of Youth Art Month. Like, Youth Art Month, near and dear to my heart. But I was like, just on your list of to-do things, it was the bottom one. I was like, I just don't think I can do it. And my bestie, Jen, was like, Tiffany, you have to do it. I'm like, you're right, I have to do it. So I stayed and got it done. I had 2 award winners last year. And if I wouldn't have sent that, like the joy that I would have missed out on, that they would have missed out on. And last year, those students came and one of the dads took his son around the Capitol, and there's pictures of him sitting in senator's desk with his, feet up on the desk and his head back, and the experience that he had that day because his artwork was there at the Capitol, like all of that combined. And Mom got my phone number and texted me like, thank you so much for today. We're so excited. And yeah, it was just like, it's so silly that I almost didn't do that. Like what comes out of it is 100-fold worth it in the end, that hour that it takes to prepare the artwork to get it ready to go. Like it's 100% worth it when you see your kiddos there.
Totally agree. I love the story this year of this really cool looking alligator, and somebody took a photo of it, then completely tracked down the student and the parents to say, can I have permission to make a t-shirt out of this? Because it's really cool. And
yeah.
parents were like, yeah, can we get one of the shirts?
Yeah,
And
right?
absolutely, they're exchanging all this, and this little girl's alligator's going to be on like these people's t-shirts.
That's amazing.
Just so many countless stories like that. And this year there were 22 states that participated in sending in the reports. There was more that participated, but that many Youth Art Month coordinators sent in reports because it does get overwhelming and it is hard. And there are years that you can't make it work. But when you can, it is so completely worth it.
Absolutely.
And so, again, we're so grateful as the Council for Art Education to ACMI, for creating that organization, for having this mission and vision that art education is important in schools, because it is. And I love Tim Needles. He's a high school teacher from Smithtown, New York. And him and I did an interview with him, and I was talking about the A in STEAM, and why do you think people are against it? And I loved how he said, you need to respect the arts, like you need to have respect for the arts. And I'm like, that is just so true. And I think if you ever attend a Youth Art Month event, you will have that respect. It slowly shows you. And if you even look at it from the kindergarten perspective all the way up to the high school perspective, then you respect the arts, because all of that education takes you to this level. Amazing. And so, Tiffany, I can't thank you enough for being here today. I love your passion. Tell me a little tiny bit about your role as NAEA Director-elect for Elementary Division.
So I'm serving right now as National Art Education Association Elementary Division Director-elect. Say that 5 times fast. So I am currently working with the Elementary Division Director, Michelle Lemons. So we are kind of working together. I'm learning the position for 1 more year, a little over a year, I guess, 1.5 years as elect. And then, oh no, wait. I'm so confused. Where am I at? This March. I think it's this March I take over as director. The time is slipping away. Time goes by so fast. And that's another thing I think with taking on these jobs is when I was president of the Wisconsin Art Education Association, I was like, that's a 6-year commitment. That's crazy talk. The time flies by. Like I said, I just don't even remember where I'm at on my director-elect. So every one of these positions is 100% worth it. But anyway, I am the Elementary Division Director-elect, so I will take over as director, and we plan programming for the National Art Education Association Convention, which will be in Chicago in 2020. So we're planning sessions for the Elementary Division and then just serve as advocates for the Elementary Division within the NAEA model. So it's an exciting time.
Absolutely, that is fantastic. Well, I, for one, am just hoping and praying that we can meet in person in Chicago, because all of it is so much more valuable and just incredible in person. But I know we'll find a way to figure it out if it's not.
We have to be safe first, but we will keep the art strong and alive no matter what.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Make sure, everybody, to look for your labels. Make sure to check out ACMI, their website, their Facebook page, their free lesson plans. Check out the Council for Art Education's website. It gives you tons of information about Youth Art Month. If you have questions for Tiffany about ACMI, about the Council for Art Education, feel free to email me. I'm happy to put you in touch with whoever you need to know about. Thank you so much, Tiffany, for being here and for all you do for art education. Thank you to all the teachers that are out here. We will have another Maker Monday next week. I constantly am inspired by art educators, and I know that I need to be better as a human all the time. And so one of my goals this month was to research a contemporary Hispanic artist. And I found one, and I am just on fire for her work, and I'm inspired by it. And so you can barely see in the background, but there's a little poster back there. And so next week, we're going to do a little bit of posters with a purpose, inspired by Fabiana Rodriguez. And it's part of celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month. And so please join me for that. In about an hour, you'll receive a follow-up email that is going to have the recorded session. It'll have a PD certificate for your time. And if you have any other questions, let me know. Otherwise, be well, be happy, and keep teaching art.